Hey
Hello, how
there.
are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. All right. Well, I guess you know the drill. You've
Yeah.
got 10 minutes or less to give us more information about who you are and so we can be better informed about who to vote for.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on the program and share a little bit about myself. My name is Brandon Russell. I'm running for County Commissioner in Commissioner District 2. I was born and raised here. My family has a farm in Clements that has been in my family for generations, and my family members still, harvest from that farm yearly. And so, growing up on the farm, spending summers on the farm, when school was out, and running around with cousins, watching my, aunts and uncles work. Kind of just taught me the value of hard work and really contributing. And, and so I took that, I went to school, St. Mary's County Public Schools, started at White Marsh, went to Margaret Brent, graduated from Chopticon. From there, I went to CSM for 2 years, and then I went to University of Maryland, University College, which is now Global Campus. Um, Graduated from there with a bachelor's in English. Um, I have been active in the community for the last probably, I would say, 4 or 5 years, just kind of through natural progression, have ended up here. I care about what happens here on the local level, and I care about having people involved and hearing people's thoughts and concerns. And um, some of my community work has been involved with organizing events like the March for Equality, or there's some recent rallies, Rally for Our Rights, um, to give people the space to kind of let their voice be heard, and open things up to the community to come out and really share experiences. And that's the kind of thing I want to bring as a commissioner, is being able to include more voices from the community. I also led redistricting efforts last year when the local redistricting board was named, to make sure that that was a fair process and that things were redrawn in a fair way, and we ended up with a good result. So yet another example of getting people involved and just urging people to use their voices. And so that's pretty much tells you about me. My platform and why I wanted to run is because I started to notice some gaps in services and things that needed to be addressed. And through what I have kind of researched and heard from people I've talked to in the community at various events, um, I developed this HELP plan, HELP, for healthcare, education, land use, and public safety. And I identified those 4 areas because we have some really eye-opening stats here in St. Mary's County. Things like the fact that we have over 6,000 ER visits for mental health every year, which is double the state average. That our domestic violence rate is double the state average. Alzheimer's related hospitalizations are triple the state average. That stood out to me because my grandmother lived with Alzheimer's for about the last 10 to 12 years of her life, and the hospital is not really prepared to serve patients with that need on a long-term basis. And we need more resources for seniors who struggle with that, to provide care for people. And with education, I've noticed that the teacher shortage, and that there has been a real inability for educators and public safety officers, which I'll get to afford to live where they work, because the cost of living here is so high, and our pay scales are not quite as equally matched for neighboring jurisdictions. And so, with education, I think we need to be able to have a attractive area to lure new teachers to this area to teach, and make sure that they set down roots here. I want to make sure that we have a good pipeline in place to, so that people can go through school here locally, and become a teacher here locally, and will want to stay local and not move away. And I want to make sure that we have trade school pipelines that can do the same thing so that we have a constant replenishing of our workforce here locally and that everybody is able to live and work here and afford to do that. With land use is a big passion of mine. I'm really not a fan of having overdevelopment with a lot of chain stores in our area. I've spoken out about a few Dollar General locations and problems that have come along with them potentially being built on the land where they were, and how it can impact traffic concerns and just so many other things. And so kind of through doing some research, it seems like, our zoning ordinances need to be tightened up a little bit, and we need to really make sure that our development plans are focused so that development goes where it's supposed to go and not, in somebody's backyard. And so I also want to use the land use tent pole, so to speak, to make sure that we are encouraging development for small businesses and providing resources so that some of our abandoned shopping centers or abandoned buildings can be rehabbed and actually opened back up so that they can be used and be productive once again, instead of just being blight on the area. And finally, with public safety, we've heard the last few years with budget talks that recruitment and retention for our sheriff's office is a big issue, and that we need to make sure we have pay parity with our neighboring jurisdictions. That's something I want to continue to focus on. Our EMS service is going through a bit of a change from volunteer to paid providers. And we need to make sure that we provide funding and the necessary resources to get that program stabilized and serving the community in a great way, which is already happening. And those people are putting in a ton of work to work with what they have, but we need to be able to give them so much more. And traffic concerns, that kind of goes back to development. We need to make sure that development is done in a way that is not going to add to more accidents and more traffic fatalities in our area. And we need to focus on traffic enforcement. I've talked with a lot of people about that and making sure that people are slowing down and being safe on the roads. Very important. I've lost, and I'm sure so many other people have lost loved ones in accidents locally. And it's just a terrible thing that, we can put things in place to kind of control. And last but certainly not least, there, is noticeable violence in the area, despite what the local media may have you think based on headlines. It's not always focused right in Lexington Park, but there sure is a problem with violence across our county. And we need to make sure that we're engaging different community partners to try to put the solutions in place that will help quell that violence. So solutions, I'm talking about things like opportunities for youth to participate in after school programs, a community center, things for them to do that are educational and that will add to their life skills. There's a lot of life skills programs that were taught in school, for example, when I was in high school just 15 years ago that are not there or not available anymore. And so we need to find ways to provide that to the community as a way to build up our youth and make them successful for when they get older. And finally, getting to closing, I know I kind of went through a bunch of different stuff there, but all of this information is available on my website, which is www.brandon4stmarys.com. All of my social media is at Brandon4 St. Mary's, and that's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My email, Brandon@Brandon4stmarys.com. Again, the number 4. I urge you just to, reach out to me, ask whatever questions that you might have. Check out the information on my website. There's a lot more in-depth info there on the things that I've talked about.